Hello, Manic Gallant here. When I started this channel, I decided that I was going to cover two things that have become something that I like to do, and that is design and cooking. I've already put up one cooking video, so today we're going to take a look at some of the design that me and my partner created for our home. Today we're going to start with my living room, and we're going to go through some of the pieces and why we made these choices for the area that we're in. So let's get into it. Basically, we live in Southern California in a desert area, and one of the main things that I have discovered in the area is that a lot of people want to do the outdoors inside. So, in the thought of that, when we first moved into this place, we went with what was supposed to be a grayish wall color, and it turned out to be more beige, as you can tell. And with the floors that you see here, we realized that we were living in more or less a sandcastle. So instead of actually having the walls repainted, what we decided to do was add pops of color throughout the house. So that's exactly what we've done. Uh, and as I go through some of the design choices that we made here, you'll be able to see why we made some of those decisions. So, needless to say, I'm not a professional chef, nor am I a professional designer, but I did really enjoy uh, doing these kinds of things and doing the research. And what I'm trying to share here is how we got there. So, let's get into it. Okay, this is one view of the living room, and I did this in particular so we could break some of this down. Now, our idea here was to go mid-century modern, but we didn't want to spend the money on real MCM furniture. So we went with a more modern sourced furniture and used the same color palettes that you might see there. In this image, you can see the unusually shaped mirrors to the left. You can see a CJRA piece above the couch, and you can see the pole lamp to the far right next to the window. Now, orange is not a typical color, or in this case, cognac, that I would suggest using in a typical home. However, with the art piece and the direction that we're going in, this really made the living room pop. And when we go back to the other pictures, you can kind of see against the blacks and the browns, the cognac color really stands out. Also, on our left hand side, we have what used to be a wine cabinet, and we've repurposed that for dishes and other storage. It came from CB2, I believe, or Crate and Barrel. I can't remember. We have the Red Bull that we sourced from a antique shop, and the coil lamp is from Design Within Reach. We wanted that lamp to match up with the pole lamp as closely as we could without interfering with the mirrors, as you can see here. Um, Now, when we move to the next set of images, you'll see the orange barrel chairs and more of the coffee table that we have in the center of the room. We should also be able to see the rug a little better, and if not, we'll discuss that in the next part. Now, as we go through this, one of the plans that I have is to actually, underneath the video, add some information that I looked up. In this particular case, not everything is going to match. For instance, the couch there is from Domicile, which is a German company. It is actually leather. We chose that because we have a cat, and we just didn't want a fabric couch torn all to pieces. The pillows came from a local store here, and a lot of this stuff, I will post in the video. I made a page with the high-end choices versus the cheaper ones to kind of recreate this look if you wanted to. But you can see a major difference in the costs between the high end stuff and the lower end uh, pieces. So all of that being said, Now you can see the whole room again, and the carpet here, the rug, is an area rug. It's 10 by 12. It's from a company called Floor. We chose this because it's a heavily trafficked house and there's a lot of dust here. Um, and with those lighter colors, they need to be cleaned quite often. And since it's the Floor system, FLOR, they come in like 12 by 12 squares. You put the carpet together, they give you little sticky round pieces that fit into the corners, and you put this together and then set your furniture. Now, I don't have a before and after pic. I may add that later. But when we started, there was a blue couch that was about half of the size of that one, and we had a white marble square table, and we had some big white chairs. And as we started to design, as you can see here, we switched over. As we started to design, we realized that those chairs weren't going to work. So in this image, you'll see the coffee table. Now, I don't have the brand of that. I wasn't able to find that before I made this video. I do have it in my record somewhere. This particular coffee table is a very large coffee table, and it was relatively expensive as far as coffee tables go, but we love it. The two chairs are also cognac colored. They're slightly different than the couch, however, because I didn't want to do the same matching, but we did match the color as closely as we could. And these are rotating barrel chairs, so we can spin them to have a conversation around the coffee table, or we can spin them to watch TV, or we can spin them to open the patio and just have that outside breeze. Now the lamp in the back corner is called Babylon. Um, that is a brass finished floor lamp, and we really love that. The cabinet there is a BMI sound cabinet. I believe that one's 70 inches. Um, and like I said, we can see the carpet and the blue ottoman. So the idea here was when we were doing this was to make sure that we got that almost cigar room feel, where it's very comfortable and not too dark, but a darker color palette, so that it felt different from the rest of the house. The patio door is covered by independent sliding curtains. We chose that route because we didn't want to have the full-blown curtains laying on the floor again in a dusty area. And that was a design choice as well. Now, as you can tell, and one of the things that I suggest is make sure you pick your carpet first and not the furniture, uh, because and understand what your color palette is as you're going into it. As I said, one of our major things, or at least for me, was to try to get that mid-century modern look. And buying real mid-century modern furniture is really expensive. Uh, so we saved a lot of money doing this. However, this was not cheap, and it took us about 4 years to get all the pieces. So our total came up to around 20,000. And again, I will post some high-end equivalents versus your Target or some other locations that have similar items that you can get to try to recreate the look. All that being said, I wanted to make this as short as possible. I didn't want to get into full design stuff, but I did actually want to fit all this in. So hopefully we'll see you next time. Thanks.